We will start our course of contact lens. Unfortunately, because the speakers are stuck in other sessions also, so they will be reaching shortly. Meanwhile, I will introduce myself. I am Dr. Rajesh Sinha, working as additional professor in the Cornea Lens and Refractive Surgery Services at RP Center, AIIMS. And we will start with the instruction course on contact lens. We don't have any financial interest involved with this presentation. Before we actually start the fitting and other problems, let me just give you a brief introduction on contact lens. Contact lens is basically a thin, transparent, cap-like structure that is placed over the cornea for various purposes, like optical purposes, therapeutic purpose, cosmetic, and occupational, diagnostic, and research. As far as the optical purposes is concerned, this is just for the freshers or just to refresh your memories. The optical indications can be any type of refractive error like myopia, hyperopia, or aphakia, particularly childhood aphakia when the child is having unilateral aphakia. Then of course keratoconus, astigmatism, and refractive error with nystagmus, because if you give spectacles in nystagmus, then the optical center of the glass and the visual axis keep on changing because of the constant movement of the eyeball. So that is one reason why contact lens is definitely preferred over spectacles in this condition. And then of course therapeutic indications to prevent pain and to give relief to the patients, like patients of bullous keratopathy, those who are having persistent epithelial defect. You want healing of epithelium. So in that case, then filamentary keratitis, neurotrophic keratitis. If you have a small fistula in the cornea because of any reason, then also you place fibrin, this cyanoacrylate glue, and place a bandage contact lens for the comfort of the patient. Then if you have some scar like this and nobody wants to have a appearance like this, so in that case a cosmetic contact lens helps a lot. Then for occupational reasons, there are various actors and models who like to look like somebody has a role of ghost or somebody has to play some role. Then in that case they have different kind of tints that they use for various purposes. Then sports person, you must have seen many cricketers playing now. Earlier they used to use spectacles, now they are using contact lens for that. Then of course diagnostic purposes like gonioscopy, goniotomy, all these lenses which you use for the retinal laser therapy, etc. For this you use the lens that is placed over the cornea, so that is also called contact lens. And now apart from the indications, let me just discuss with you about what are the conditions where we should not give contact lens. A very important condition where we should not give contact lens is if the patient is not motivated, because if he is not motivated, he won't take care of the contact lens and then he may end up with complications. Then if somebody is having a very small refractive error, somebody like having 0.5, 0.75 refractive error, he will be having good visual acuity even without glasses. So he will not be bothered, he will not take all the botherations of taking care of contact lens. So very small refractive error, it's always better to avoid, because you won't have a successful contact lens candidate. Then of course there are certain conditions like you have a lid abnormality or lashes related problems, meibomian gland dysfunction. All these conditions we should avoid contact lens. Then of course diabetes, because in diabetes or any other condition wherein you have a poor corneal sensation, then the person may not report to you with any complication in the early stage, and once he ends up in a very severe complication, then only he comes, and then after that he will be complaining that it was all because of contact lens. So these are not good candidates for contact lens fitting. Just to give you a brief idea about what are the types of contact lens. So based on material we have the rigid, gas permeable, and soft, and based on power we have spherical and toric. Now coming to materials, the rigid contact lens is made of PMMA. However, these days it is obsolete. We don't use PMMA lenses because the oxygen transmission is nil. through the PMMA lenses. So we avoid using it because it will result in corneal hypoxia and edema, and the patient will have a lot of problems. The semi-soft contact lenses are often used in various conditions in order to neutralize the ocular surface irregularity, and the material are fluorosilicon acrylate. This is the most commonly used material these days. And there are other materials as well, like cellulose acetate butyrate, which was the first material used, but these days it is fluorosilicon acrylate that is used. Then for soft hydrophilic lenses, we have the hydrogel lenses. The soft hydrophobic ones are the silicone ones, and a combination of this is silicone hydrogel. And because of a good permeability and good acceptance, silicone hydrogel is now considered as the material of choice for soft contact lens. Then of course, what can be the wearing modalities? One can have a daily wear conventional lenses. Then daily wear lenses are those lenses which you wear in the morning, take off in the evening, and these are conventional lenses which are used for a year. So you do all the care and maintenance of the contact lens. Then you have the extended wear lenses which are used for an extended period. They can be used for 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, etc., and then you remove it and clean it and put it back. So these are the extended wear contact lenses. Then of course you have the various disposable lenses, and like you have various schedule, like you can have a daily disposable lenses, you can have monthly disposable, 2 weekly disposable. I request Dr. Kirti Singh to please come on the dais. And the daily disposable lenses are the ones which do not require any care and maintenance. You use it once, remove it and throw it away. So these are the easiest lens to use. However, there are, it becomes a little slightly costlier than other other regimen lenses. So many people don't use it. But yes, those who have any little problem related with contact lens, then daily disposable lenses are the best ones, because you don't have any problem related to this. Now, we welcome Dr. Kirti Singh, who is also a faculty in this instruction course. Now, we go to soft contact lens fitting. Now, after this brief overview on contact lens, what is contact lens, what are the various types, I will go on to the actual fitting. Now, what do you do? Somebody comes to you for contact lens. What all you do? Well, the patient comes to you. He has a refractive error. He wants to get rid of glasses. Well, of course, one is refractive surgery, but when somebody wants contact lens, then you proceed with various steps. You do a cycloplegic refraction. You explain to him, first of all, about the care and maintenance of contact lens. You look for his motivation. You try to motivate him also, because for good looks you may require to maintain the contact lens a little bit, and once the patient is motivated, then you go ahead. So the first thing I would say will be a cycloplegic refraction, and then of course the post-mediatic test will be done, so the final refractive error you attain. Then you check the keratometry, you do corneal topography, you look for the corneal thickness, you also check the corneal sensation, you look for dry eye investigation, you do all the breakup time and Shermer's test, and if possible tear osmolarity. And then once you feel that the patient is fit enough, then you start thinking about what type of contact lens he can use. Now, if somebody is having a simple refractive error, then the most acceptable contact lens is soft contact lens. So that's why we begin with a soft contact lens fitting. This is the lens of first choice because it is very easy to fit and it is very comfortable. Immediately in 5 minutes or 10 minutes the patient becomes comfortable. So he has very little adaptation time. Now, what are the indications? Well, any spherical refractive error. I am talking about spherical soft lens. So any spherical refractive error, we fit soft contact lens first, unless there are definite indications for RGP contact lens. So any simple refractive error, yes, soft contact lens. Now, if somebody is having a low cylinder, Like for example, somebody is having a spherical error of -6 diopters and cylinder of -1 diopter. In that case, you can still manage with a spherical soft contact lens. You have to see whether the patient follows the 1:4 rule or not. So in most often cases, it's not a 100% foolproof rule, but still in majority of cases, when the cylinder is less than 1/4 of the spherical power, you can still manage to give a soft contact lens and get a good outcome and 6/6 vision. So if somebody is having low cylinder, less than 1/4 of spherical, then you manage with spherical soft contact lens. Then of course aphakia, particularly in childhood aphakia. If somebody is having a unilateral aphakia, anybody, adult or child, or if somebody cannot get the IOL fixed, may not be having a decent posterior chamber, may not be having sulcus, may not be having iris tissue, does not want scleral fixation. In these cases, yes, even in adults, we fit a soft contact lens. Earlier, the aphakic soft contact lenses were not available. Now these are freely available and we can fit it very nicely. Now, the fitting requirement is CMC. We just have to remember centration, movement and coverage. So, what you see, the lens should center well. Center well, then of course, the movement. Movement should be adequate. And coverage. Coverage means in all the gazes, it should be covering the visual axis, the visual area. And of course, it should also produce good and stable vision. The patient should not have any feeling of contact lens inside the eye. So what are the various parameters that you look for in while fitting soft contact lens? Of course, there is a size, total diameter of contact lens. So what should be the total diameter? The total diameter of soft contact lens to begin with is HVID plus 2. By HVID, I mean to say that we measure with calipers what is the horizontal visible iris diameter, that is the corneal diameter, an indicator of corneal diameter. And we add plus 2 to it. Of course, then we place the lens and we can modify it further. The base curve. One is total diameter, the second is base curve. Now base curve, mostly in soft contact lenses, we fit flatter than K value. So when we start with a power of 4 diopter flatter than K. This is, you can say, a general rule. Of course, then you look for the centration, movement and coverage and then you modify it. The power of the soft contact lens, the trial lens, should be as close to the refractive power. The reason why I am telling is that somebody might be having, say, -10 diopters of myopia, and you are putting a trial lens of, say, -1 diopter. Then the fit that you look with that you evaluate with -0.5 or -1 diopter may not be the same with -10 diopter, because that lens will be heavier and the movement may be more, and various fitting parameters can change. So it's always advisable to go as far possible, as near possible to the refractive power, and then place a trial lens and then look for the centration, movement and coverage. Now, once you have done a refraction, you have selected a lens of a total diameter of, say, 12 to 14 millimeters, you have selected a base curve of, say, 40 diopters or whatever in millimeters, you have the nomogram to convert it. Then you place the contact lens and then you allow the patient to sit for some time. You ask the patient to wait for 5 to 10 minutes for the lens to settle, and also the patient should also not have watering, because when he is having watering, immediately when you put a contact lens, he will have watering. So you should not evaluate at that time. Once the contact lens settles on the cornea, you have spent 5-10 minutes with the patient, explaining to him, he becomes comfortable, then you allow the patient to sit on the slit lamp. And then you look whether the lens is well centered or not, whether the movement is okay or not, and the coverage. Okay, sorry. Now this is fortunately, because we are in directly under the sun, we can't see the video. भैया कुछ हो सकता है वो? कब तक होगा? कोर्स के बाद? Anyways, as you can see here, the lens is well centered. This is the margin of the lens, if you can figure out. Lens with each blink, the lens is moving 2.5 millimeters and then recentering. The movement is adequate. The coverage is good. Now the coverage should be checked in all the directions actually. Now this is an example of a aphakic contact lens. As you can see here, it's actually difficult for them to see because of we are directly under the sun. So actually this is an example of aphakic contact lens. Because of that light you are not able to see clearly. What happens that if the patient does not have significant astigmatism in aphakia, many times the patient with aphakia has significant astigmatism. In that case we may have to fit RGP contact lens with corneal scars and all that, which Dr. Kirti will be discussing. But in case where you don't have significant astigmatism, you can fit a soft contact lens as well. Centration should be checked not only in primary gaze, like you ask the patient to look straight ahead, then you ask the patient to look up, then down, then the lateral movements. So in all the gazes, the lens should be well centered. Now, what is decentration in primary gaze? If the patient is looking straight ahead and the lens is still lagging, this means it's a decentered lens in a primary gaze, as for example this. This is, the patient is in primary gaze, but you can see here the margin is coming up here and this is going down. So this is a lagging, this is actually a decentered lens in primary gaze. Then the patient can look up, and then if the, as you can see the margin here, if the lens is like this, then it is well centered. If it is lagging like this, is going down, sagging like this, then it is a decentered lens in up gaze. Then of course in lateral versions you would like to see the lens properly, it should be well centered. And then you do a push-up test. Sometimes what happens that you place a trial lens, it's a practical problem that these trial lenses are used many times on a patient. You place a trial lens and the lens gets stuck. So you have to put some lubricant and dislodge it also. Sometimes when you ask the patient to blink, it is not very clear to judge whether the movement is adequate. In that case, you would like to do a push-up test and then see whether the lens is moving nicely and then coming back, centering again. So once you do push-up, the lens moves up and then it comes down and again becomes centered. So that is the lens push-up test. And with each blink, the movement should be alright. And the corneal coverage should be good. It should cover the visual axis and all the gazes. Then what is the optimal tightness? The tightness is checked with the movement. So the movement should be roughly around 0.5 millimeters, 0.5 to 1 millimeters with each blink. So something like this, a lagging lens is an extremely loose lens. Now something like this, when you have an edge which is covering and causing congestion, as you can see here, this means it's a tight lens. It is causing a lot of congestion. It's pressing on the vessels, conjunctival vessels. So this is a tight lens. Again, by movement of the lens also, if it's not at all moving, then you can understand it is tight lens. Again, with each blink, if the vision improves, then it's a tight lens. And if it's an extremely tight lens, and if the vision does not improve, if the vision blurs immediately after a blink, then it's a very flat lens. Then there is a rule that you can change the total diameter. Suppose the fit is okay and you want to change the diameter for any reason, then you have to modify. This means if you are increasing the diameter, then you are increasing the sagittal height as well. Then the lens becomes tighter. So you have to flatten the base curve. So this is a general rule. And of course, once you have placed the contact lens, the fit is okay, and you have seen the centration, movement and coverage, then for final power, you do an over refraction. And if the over refraction gives you an error of more than 4 diopters, you calculate for the back vertex power from the nomogram directly. There is a formula, but there is a nomogram which you can directly see and modify. If the power on the spectacle frame is less than 4 in over refraction, you can directly add or subtract over the power of the contact lens. So to summarize, the soft spherical contact lens is easy to fit, it's quite comfortable, and it is very simple. So this is the easiest lens and the most acceptable lens that is fitted. Just a few things about soft toric contact lens. Toric lenses are one in which you have the astigmatic power. Now it will look like this. Spherical lens will look like this, but the toric lens will have some mark. The reason why, because you have a cylinder which has a definite axis. Now you want the lens to be in a same position so that the axis of cylinder works in the same meridian always. Now if the lens keeps moving, then the axis of the lens will keep moving. So you want to have some mark, some point, reference mark, by which you can say that okay, the lens is fitting well. And with the centration, movement, coverage of soft contact lens, you see whether the mark is at 6 o'clock or it is on either side. Accordingly you modify. Now the indications of toric soft contact lens are regular astigmatism and any cylindrical error which is more than 1/4 of the spherical power. The steps of fitting are centration, movement and coverage as in any soft contact lens, and then the only thing that you have to do is axis refinement, because these days we have nomograms and earlier we had a 10-step fitting of toric soft contact lens which we don't follow these days, so there's no point discussing all that. We just look for the centration, movement and coverage, and then we modify the axis. Now how do we modify the axis? Now if there is no rotation, if the central mark which is at 6 o'clock, it comes directly on 6 o'clock, you don't change. Say for example, I will just show by an example. Now this is a case, this is an eye in which toric lens is fitted. This is the 6 o'clock mark. With each blink it is coming back to 6 o'clock, so you don't have to modify the axis of the contact lens. Another example, as you can see here, so in both these examples, the 6 o'clock mark is coming back to 6 o'clock position, so you don't have to modify it. Now how do you modify the axis? There's a rule that is LARS, left add and right subtract. Now just an example of that is, this is at 6 o'clock. If there is no rotation, this mark is not going to this side or that side, then we don't have to modify the axis. Now if this 6 o'clock mark is rotating 15 degrees on the left side, by left side means that you are examining the patient, asking him to sit on the slit lamp, directly seeing him. So left side of the examiner. So you are seeing that the axis is rotating like this, so it is coming on the left side of the examiner. Then whatever axis is changing, you just add to it. Say somebody is having 120 degrees, so you add 15 degrees, so you make it 135 degrees. So the final axis of the contact lens should be on 135, because we have finalized the base curve, so that base curve contact lens will behave similarly, will rotate in a similar manner on that cornea. Now if the axis is moving slightly on the right side, that is 10 degrees on the right side, then you subtract. Say 120 degrees is the axis, so you subtract, make it to 110. Because the lens will behave in a similar manner, rotate in a similar manner, so finally you have to modify the axis. So as to maintain the axis in the of the cylinder incorporated in the contact lens at 120 degrees. Thank you.